Hey everyone, welcome to my first series, How to Recycle UK edition. Recycling is a tricky one. There's loads of guidance out there on how to do it, but the rules differ depending on where you live. Sometimes it's not clear from the product what you're exactly meant to do with it, and let's be honest, it's not the most interesting topic to learn about. So should we bother? Should we care? Well, yes, because this is f***ing terrifying.
What did you buy in the last week, and how much of that do you think you'll eventually throw away? Every day we're making millions of things, from clothes to furniture to toys to vehicles to tennis balls to concrete, and it feels like most of it will eventually go into landfill until...
Everything is garbage.
I don't think anyone wants that, right? So what do we do?
It is super important to get it right, and in this series I hope to provide some simple tips which will massively improve your recycling game. But first, what exactly is recycling? Recycling is when we take a material and process it so it can be used again. Our household waste is taken to a materials recovery facility where both machines and people sort out the unrecyclables, and then the rest is separated into various streams, and then those items are then taken to separate processing plants. So what's the current situation? In 2021, the UK government reported that 26 million tonnes of household waste was generated, with about 46% being recycled. The rest went to the bad place. 46% doesn't seem that bad, but we could definitely be better. The leaders in the world are reaching around 60 to 70% of recycling, and even the mighty Wales is reaching around 57 to 60%. Honestly, it's pretty unclear what that 46% number means. It probably means, from what I gather, that it was actually sent to recycling, not that it was processed and fully recycled. So the situation isn't great. Ideally, we would all reduce the amount of waste that we're producing, but for most of us, we are going to be generating waste in the near future. So it is vital that we recycle, and it's vital that we get it right. So we know we need to do it, but how do we actually recycle? Now, I've read a load of materials from various sources about what can and can't be recycled, the condition that the items should be in, and so many more rules. If I could ask you to remember 3 things from watching this video, it's these. Kick. Clean and dry. If in doubt, leave it out. And check the label. Well, firstly, clean and dry. Sounds simple, right? Well, I really mean it. Take your peanut butter jar, your milk carton. If there's any leftover food or drink residue in there, it cannot be recycled, and that energy has been wasted. Give it a quick rinse, get in there with a sponge if you need to dislodge any food particles, and then leave it to dry for a while before tossing it in recycling. If in doubt, leave it out.
Not sure about this, whether it can be recycled or not. I guess it's plastic, and I know plastic can be recycled, but I can't see any sign on it about whether it can or can't be or not. I guess if I recycle it, it's probably fine, right? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It won't get recycled?
What you just saw there was wish cycling, and it's something that I personally have done so many times before. Well, it's not good because it can lead to contamination. Contamination is when you put something in a recycling stream that doesn't belong there. It makes it difficult to separate, and it affects other items too. It can actually lead to the whole load being rejected. So putting the wrong thing in could have a net negative effect. Only put the item in if you're confident that it can be recycled. Well, how are you going to know whether it can be recycled? Well, keep watching my videos. Well, this leads quite nicely on to the last point, which is check the label. Now, recycling symbols in the UK look like this. Seems pretty straightforward. But not all items have these labels on them, and what's worse, there are other signs out there that are quite misleading. Take the tidy man. Absolutely nothing to do with recycling, it just means don't litter. The Mobius loop. What this means is that the item could be recycled or that it's made of recycled materials. Then we've got the green dot. Ooh, it looks like it's recycling, you know? Wrong. It actually means that the producer of the item has given money to recycling efforts somewhere. Now, even if you don't have the classic symbols on there, there are still other ways of telling whether an item can or cannot be recycled or not. And that's generally from determining what the material is. Take your glass, your paper, your metal, you should be able to identify that. And even plastics, there is a system in which you can identify which plastic it is and whether that probably could be recycled. But I'll cover that in a different video. And that's kick. Lastly, I want to talk about the different materials that you can recycle from the home and which ones are the best. Made a little tiered system. Coming in for the bronze medal, who could have guessed it? It's plastic. Now there are thousands of different plastics out there, but some very kind people have separated them into 7 different categories, although type 7 is other, so only 3 types of this plastic can be easily recycled from home. And even if you can recycle it, plastic can only be recycled about once or twice before the quality drops low enough that it can't be recycled again. So if you haven't guessed it, it's probably good to avoid plastic if possible. Now, in a very respectable second place, we have paper and card. Paper and card can roughly be recycled up to 7 times before losing its structure. But on the plus side, it does also come from a renewable resource. And coming in at joint first place is glass and metals. Glass and metals are awesome because they can be melted down into their liquid form and then remade into products again. So ideally they can be recycled an infinite amount of times without losing quality or structure. So if you have the choice between buying a plastic container or a glass container, please buy the glass one if possible. Now I know this is quite a simple list. Products nowadays are so complicated. For years I thought my Dove soap was coming in a cardboard box and I was so happy putting that in recycling. Well, it turns out years later I found that there's a very thin plastic film inside the cardboard box. So yeah, that can't be recycled. Generally, when a product has many different materials mixed together, it's very difficult to recycle it because who is going to separate them? That was an introduction on how to recycle. Remember, kick, and where possible, go for glass and metal and paper as opposed to plastic. So if you liked what you saw today, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to get more of this content. Now I do my own research when producing these videos, but if you feel that I haven't said something correct or there's something that you want to say and contribute to, please comment on the videos. I would love to start a community around this topic where we can share information and just help each other out. Stay tuned for part 2, coming soon.